What's going on, y'all? It's Comics Corner. It's another Saturday, so y'all already know it's Code Geass Day. And this episode, I actually really enjoyed this episode way more than the last episode. So let's get into it. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. There will be spoilers after this point, but you already know that. So if you don't mind, come on with me. Let's go. But if you've seen the episode, let's get into some Code Geass. All right, so one of the most important and interesting things I wanna explore the way that these episodes were set up. Okay, so this episode in particular started away and then ended away, and there's only one particular portion of that I want to focus on. At the very beginning of the episode, they got the little resistance fights on different fronts from the different Neo-Britannian officers, the higher up ones. They look and resemble the Knights of the Round from the first seasons, and they're doing their thing, but there's one particular guy who loses, and he loses to the seven stars, the guys that we have been following. So he loses, and they go back to report to this guy Norland, and y'all know Norland ain't having none of that, so he told him that he's useless. But I didn't think that was enough to break the dude. The dude ended up taking his own life, and there's a lack of concern among those who serve under Norland. They're talking to Norland about it. As they're going up the escalator, they see a lady named Natalia. And Natalia is important because she has been very close to their current emperor, Callus. I think it's Lee Britannia. I'm not 100% sure. But she saved his life when some terrorists tried to attack him. Some Japanese terrorists tried to attack him. And so he's been stuck at her hip ever since. I think that has made it difficult for Norland to control him, because it's clear to me that Norland has a very domineering personality and he has some kind of goals. I just think that the show didn't do a good job of letting us know what they are and giving us that sense of domineer from him. We just get a silent, cold, brooding man, as opposed to a character that we can kind of relate to and latch on to with his goals, his ambitions, or even the way that he chooses to move. Because in all of these situations that I'm going to speak about for the rest of the series, or this episode in particular, a lot of his actions are implied and they're not necessarily shown to be true. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we get that there's a wholesome scene between Natalia and Callus where she's speaking to him about something that I haven't even brought up to you guys yet. So let me go into this first. We get to see the beautiful Sakuya Sumeragi undress. Not completely, obviously, she's not completely naked, but just it is the image of relieving herself from what she's been hiding and being who she actually is. And I think that could potentially be some type of theme in this, but I'm reaching right now because she looks gorgeous. We get that, and there's this parallel scene where Ash is doing push-ups and he's trying to feed the cats, but he finds out, or the strays in general, but he finds out he doesn't have any more food. And when he goes to open the door before he actually realizes he doesn't have any food, we get this sense of thinking that maybe they're in the same place. But a few seconds ago we saw that she had placed all her things on this table, and so the assumption is that they're in different places, even though the scene looks like they could be in the same place and that her secret could be revealed. It's clearly not. Someone else opens the door to her, wakes her up, because she has a meeting with Natalia, the lady that I just spoke about. Natalia owns this cafe, and it's in what appears to be a specially administrated zone. The place kind of similar. It's not necessarily called that, but that's what it gives off. There's a place where 11s can freely call themselves Japanese in the same way that it was in the first season. They're meeting, and they talk for a little bit. Everybody in the cafe knows that Roze is Sakuya, so that's interesting. And then at some point, she offers to work. No, she asks Sakuya to work in the cafe. And for the first time, we get to see Sakuya in something girly. I think it's for the bit. She was dressed in a maid costume, obviously. During this time, the girl that came in to wake Sakuya up leaves, and she gets confronted by two guys. First of all, I understand that racism exists, but they be doing a big racism in this. the guy saw her and was like, oh yeah, you got some audacity working a regular job. And then they pulled guns on her. It's already 2 dudes. But obviously this was set up so that Ash could save them. Could save her specifically. And so that she would invite Ash back to the cafe, where Ash would meet Sakuya as Raspberry, as a cafe maid. And obviously he started flirting, you know what I'm saying? And she begins to think about how he's speaking so much more now than he ever does when she is Roze. And I think that to me that was weird, because you know that you subjugated him. You know that his mind is under your Geass. So obviously there's not a genuineness to y'all's relationship. And I think that, to me, plays into the theme that I was talking about. She's literally herself in front of him for the first time, obviously not revealing completely who she is. And she's seeing a different side of him. They play it up for jokes and laughs, and I thought it was very enjoyable. But there's a moment where she reminisces on the time where, as Roze, Ash tells her, hey, you know what I mean? I killed your father. And at this point, you can see that he likes her. Like, he actually does like her. And she's enjoying his time in his company. He asks if he can come back, but he got to go feed the animals. They leave. It is after this that we get the nice, wholesome scene with Natalia and Callus about going to the cafe and potentially having a cafe of his own, because he expresses that he's scared of them Japanese folks. But he has a good reason. They tried to kill him. They tried to off that boy. He a little boy, right? And I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but the second time, the butler is watching over them in a peculiar way, right? And after this scene is juxtaposed with a scene of Norlin and one of the Britannian soldiers working on something in particular. Not sure what it was, but I'm sure it's going to be a weapon that's going to be important later. It might have something to do with Flayers, because for some reason a lot of the plot points are being rehashed in the series. But that was all the wholesomeness, you know what I'm saying? Then we get a scene where my other baby, notice I'm saying my other baby because Sakuya, she did it this episode, okay? Like, if she didn't have me before, she got me now. But Catherine Sabathra. She got me. She went and spoke to Sakura, you know, talking down to her for no reason. But I guess that was just to show her character and who she is. She was like, you're weak, but Norlin is strong. And that was important to establish Norlin for us a little bit. I really wish they would still let Norlin establish himself. But then she has a little interesting speck of dialogue where she's like, it seems like nobody has noticed that I'm a double. But of course, why would they notice that? It's not clear. You know what I mean? And so there has to be something going on there that we are missing. Maybe her being, this is my theory, maybe her being a double is somehow tied to Geass. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm thinking that it's tied to Geass in some way, shape, or form. So then we get a scene of the seven stars getting their new nightmares and trying to decide who the ace pilot is. All of this stuff is just typical Geass stuff. I enjoyed it because it was a fun and it was a light episode. But again, I told you before that it started away and it ended away. At the beginning of the episode, I think I told you guys that one of the Britannian officers, the one who failed to defeat the 7 stars, he offed himself, right? This episode has to claim more than one person. And so on the entrance, it claimed that officer, but on the exit, they claimed Callus Britannia's life. The little boy died. At first I was confused. I was like, maybe they poisoned his food or something, but upon watching it another time, there's a little mechanical flying bug. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might have been what old boy was working on in the lab to take him out. And this is what they wanted us to notice that with. They take him out, and this is what I mean by it's implied. When that happens, the little boy is dying, and the camera pans to Norlin's face, right? As if this was all a part of his scheme. The next thing that we hear is that Sakuya Sumeragi, me Britannia, that's what they did, is becoming the 101st Empress of the Emperor of the Empire. And this seemed to spark a lot of like controversy. I want to know who her mama is. But there's something else I didn't mention. And I think it's important. They did something for us here. Earlier on in the episode, when Sakuya was talking to Natalia in the place, she started thinking about Geass and how she got it. And there was a particular man who gave her Geass. They ain't show his face or let him talk at that point, but I knew who it was. So at the end, when she's reminiscing, she's thinking about how it seems like Sakura is getting further away from her. She thinks back to the words of this man. And he says to her, and you know when you hear it, that is Lelouch v. Britannia. He was the one who gave Sakuya her Geass. So this episode just got more interesting. I think that the wholesomeness of this was great. I think that establishing the understanding and the theme of being who you are and having a freeness for people to know who you are and to be accepted that way is going to be a key figure in Sakuya's growth throughout the rest of the series. I think that it will be explored through both Sakuya and Sakura. And I think we're going to get a little bit more Lelouch. But how did y'all feel seeing Lelouch back? Let me know in the comments. I don't got that much more to say, but I already told y'all what I think. Let me know if you got any predictions in the comments. We can talk about this all week because I'm excited for episode 4. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.